This is the Soul Expansion Soundboard, an hour of honest conversations and straightforward advice on spiritual growth, limitless creation, and enlightened evolution. With 3 certified spiritual coaches and soulpreneurs who understand what it's like to navigate spiritual growth in an ever-changing world. You'll be part of illuminating discussions featuring spirituality, self-development, inner healing, manifesting, and expansive creation of the abundant life you truly deserve. Now, here are your hosts, Roz Kincaid, Julian Crosson-Hill, and Jordiana Chevalier.
Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. We're back. We're back for another episode, and we are so glad to have you. Listen, today we are going to get into a topic that we as coaches have had many people ask us before. And before we get started, y'all get in these comments, say hello, let us know you're here. Like, come on in, don't be shy. So today we're going to be talking about how do I find the right coach? Because like there are a million of them out there and there are a lot to choose from. So I am your host, one of your hosts, co-host Roz Kincaid. And I think I just messed up. But I'm your host, Roz Kincaid. I'm handing it over to the people because it is Friday, it's a full moon, and anything's gonna happen today. So Julian, please go ahead.
I'm one of your other hosts, Julian Crosson-Hill. I'm a certified spiritual life coach and a human design specialist.
Yeah, same here, guys. My name is Jordy, and I'm also a certified spiritual life coach, a human design consultant, and business mentor. And Roz, I'm with you today. Anything can literally happen, so we're just rolling with it. But Julian, I'll let you lead and tell the people about our giveaway today.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're doing a giveaway for everyone who's watching us live. So one of the things that we decided to do when we decided to do these giveaways was that we would rotate through and each one of us would give a book that was influential in our life and our spiritual journey. So the book that I'm giving away today to one lucky winner is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And listen, this book really changed my view on how you can create your own reality, how you can shift things if you aren't happy with what you're experiencing in your life. And so I hope that whoever our lucky winner is will also find just a lot of really great wisdom in there. So to enter the giveaway, all you need to do is comment in the comments with hashtag giveaway, and at the end of the show, we will draw a lucky winner who will receive a copy of Joe Dispenza's book. So, as Roz said, we're going to be talking about life coaching today, and in particular, how do you choose a life coach? And I think it's helpful if we start by talking about what life coaching is and what it isn't, because I think that there's a lot of confusion out there, and there's a lot of coaches out there who are doing things that aren't necessarily coaching. So, let's start by talking about what is life coaching. Anyone want to lead off with that?
I can take the lead on that. So life coaching is not what people would have you believe, right? Typically people ask, how is it different from therapy? Life coaching is a partnership, right? The coach literally works with you to help you find the greatness in yourself, because we believe you have the answers. We just guide you to find them within yourself. What would you add to that?
What I will add. Go ahead. Okay, what I was going to add is obviously the ICF has a definition of coaching, and that is that you're partnering in a collaborative process to gain insights and solve problems and set goals. And so life coaching is like it says right there, it's a collaborative process. The client and the coach partner to work together. So it's not something where the coach is holding the client accountable and telling them what to do. It's a process that is collaborative. Go ahead, Roz, you had something.
Yeah, what I was going to say is that along with what you were saying, it's a collaborative approach. We are not in a session like therapy telling you what to do. dealing with trauma. Like we will reference trauma as a tool to help you move um through that, not through the trauma, but move forward and get it out of the present, get out, move through it through the present. But coaching is support. Is not us telling you what to do, because as coaches, we believe that you have the answers, and you actually do. And when you experience coaching, you will find that you actually do have the answer that resonates and that actually is aligned for you and your soul.
I agree. I think one big difference between like coaching and therapy would be therapy goes from like the present to the past to help you function in the now. How do you overcome anxiety and all of the trauma, and how can you live with that? Coaching is more future minded, right? It's from the present to the future. Where are we going? We create a vision, we walk together. And yeah, trauma may come up, but we don't live in the trauma. We want to move through it and forward. Where do you want to go? What do you want to build? So I think that's a big distinction that has to be made, because a lot of people have misconceptions about that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Is that counseling or therapy is more digging into the past, whereas coaching is really focused in the now and forward looking. And I think another distinction that we need to make is the difference between coaching and consulting. Because if you're hiring someone to teach you how to do something or to do something for you, or they're really, guiding you in a particular process, that's more of a consulting relationship than a coaching relationship. And there's a lot of business coaches out there who are marketing themselves as business coaches, but they're really consultants. They're teaching you how to market your business in a very constrained and narrow way. They've got a system that they're teaching, and that's not really coaching. They're consulting on teaching you that system instead of actually helping you find your own system, which is what a coach would be doing.
Definitely. And what I would say to that too is that in coaching, the focus is more so on tools and strategies around a multitude of topics. So it's not just all talk, but we are implementing tools, spiritual tools, life coaching tools, all types of tools. And in our implementation of those tools during our sessions, we are teaching you how to do those tools and carry those out and do them for yourself outside of session.
Yes, I believe it's more about making you self-sufficient and giving you the sovereignty to know how to overcome it on your own, right? We don't want codependency. We want you to build the skills to do it for yourself, versus in a therapy or consulting area. In therapy, you're taught skills to function. This is about how to make decisions. When you get stuck and this thing comes up, what do you do? How do we get back to the goal of where we're going? And even deeper than that, if someone's telling you what to do, it doesn't really cement the behavior for you to know to do it for yourself. We don't want you to call us and be like, hey, can I make this decision? Like, we're made of the same thing. It's about empowering you to see that in yourself.
Let me tell you something. I'm not making a decision for nobody. Okay? That's the difference with the coach. I'm not here to make a decision for you, because when you go and do what I say do and the shit don't work, you're gonna be coming back to me and say, well, Roz said, and now I'm liable for you choosing to do what I say. And is that not kind of a part of why we ended up in coaching in the first place? I mean, let's be real.
Yeah, I tell my clients I'm like the GPS, but they're the driver. What I mean by that is, even though I might say, hey, you should make a right, and I'm teaching you that that's the right way to go, you can still make a left. It's up to you, right? I'll just reroute and pivot my coaching to accommodate where you're at. But in the end, you're the driver. You're making the decisions. You're choosing you want better. And you're investing not in the coach, but in the ability that they can help you make those decisions for yourself. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I think it's also important that a lot of people look to a coach like we're going to hold them accountable. Like we're going to call them up and be like, "Did you do your homework for coaching? Did you do the thing that you said you were going to do?" And that's not really, we're not really empowering you if we're doing that. We're parenting you, really. And that's not what a coach's role is. We're here to empower you. And part of that empowerment is to really help a client figure out, how do I hold myself accountable? because a lot of us haven't always learned those skills of how to hold ourselves accountable to something that we want to do or accomplish in life. And so we let deadlines slip, or we, and in particular, when it comes to self-development, to doing things for ourselves, we may be really great at holding ourselves accountable for work or other things. And I'd even argue maybe we're not really holding ourselves accountable because there's someone holding us accountable in things like work, or taking care of our kids, or whatever it is. But when it comes to the things that we do for ourselves, those are often the things we let slide. And so the accountability piece is huge. And part of the coach's role is to help you tap into your own ability to hold yourself accountable and your own focus.
Yes. Guys, and drop your own questions in the chat. We're here to address your concerns, where you're at, but we want to guide you, right? So what would you guys say people should look for in order to know they're working with a coach that works for them?
Okay. Personally, I would advise people look for a coach that has had a level of training in coaching. I think that what you'll find out here in the industry, and I said it before in the bloopers, that there are a million coaches out here. The coaching industry has blown up and it's not stopping. Okay. And I'm not trying to like badmouth anybody, but you would want somebody to have some level of backing and training, somebody that has spent hours practicing the process of coaching, because there's a process to it. There's a way to coach that elicits, it brings things up to the surface that's not in therapeutic way. So the first thing is do your research. Maria saying ask for references. Definitely ask for references. Look at if they're on social media, which most are, look at their content. Like there's a resonance piece that goes along with that. And if you are following somebody who initially resonates with you, keep watching them. Because even recently I had a situation where I started following this business coach. And she resonated with me. She's a generator just like I am. So I perked up, leaned in, and started to follow her content. And it was really good. And I even got some of her free stuff. Listen to what I'm saying. I even got some of her free stuff to like test out and try out some of her content for me. What I started to see, and it may be because she's like launching an offer or something, but what I started to see was the talk about making a bunch of money, and I did it so quickly, and I did this and I did that, and I have all of this money, and I did, but I no longer saw her talk about the transformation, the work behind the scenes. I don't need to know about your personal life, but I'm looking for somebody that I can relate to, and not somebody that can say, "Oh, hey, I just made a bunch of money." And I'm talking it from a coach's perspective. Now, there are coaches out there that I like to work with for stuff that's personal. And so I need to be able to identify that we have something in common, because I'm not going to work with you if you don't know what I'm dealing with and you just heard it from somebody or saw it on TV. Do your research. Do all the research. Get in their DMs. Ask all the questions. Because those coaches who are really into serving you as their client are not going to be bothered by you asking questions and sliding in their DMs and, having a conversation with you, or book a discovery call. Get in there.
I agree. Resonance is part of it, right? It has to be somebody who aligns with your values, the things you want for yourself, that you admire in someone, and you see a coach embodying the things that you have that you don't know how to get to, quote unquote, right? So resonance is part of that, but also knowledge. There are people calling themselves coaches who don't even know what coaching is. And what I mean by that is what we just talked about, like telling people what to do, or this is the one way that everything works. Julian used to say they all read the same book, because there's a certain level of how does that make you a coach? Coaching is a skill. Coaching is something you're trained to do. There is practice, there are ethics, there are contracts, there are things you have to do in order to really serve that you can't learn by reading a book. You can't learn by watching like a Tony Robbins conference type thing. And I'm sure they're great, But there is a standard. The ICF kind of sets that standard, and most people don't even know that, right? So we thought it was a topic worth bringing up because, yeah, resonance is important, but also, can they help you get the transformation you're looking for? Do they embody the things that you want for yourself? And like Roz said, an intro call. Sometimes it's a matter of having a conversation. At the end of an intro call, if you have not had a transformation, that is not the coach for you. Simple. Because you should feel that alignment, that connection, and that clarity at the end of the call to be like, yes, this is someone that I see myself working with or not. So like Roz said, test it out. Freebies, kind of walk the ladder a little bit. And then if you feel led, book that intro call and then make your decision. Don't just jump into someone because they sound great on social media, because as most of us know, social media is not really real. We kind of filter a lot, and you have to get to know the energy behind a person, and also that they have the qualifications to back what they're saying they're doing.
Yeah, I think for me, there's a couple of things I want to kind of touch on that, but both Jordi and Roz mentioned. So one is training is a big one. And I see a lot of people, I was in a coach group on Facebook, and I saw a lot of people saying, do I have to take a class to be a coach? And people are like, no, there's a $9 class on Udemy. And all of that is true. There's no requirement for training for coaching. It's largely an unregulated industry, but there are standards. And the International Coaching Federation, as Jordi mentioned, the ICF, is the sort of standards body. They are to coaching what the Yoga Alliance is to yoga. They maintain the standards of what ethical practice looks like, of what are the core competencies that a coach should have, what are the core skills that a coach needs to successfully assist their clients. And so the best training programs are ICF accredited training programs. The problem with things like taking a Udemy course, right, a self-paced coaching class, is you're not getting the mentorship, because in a live coaching certification program, you are being taught by experienced coaches. And in an ICF program, they will at least be associate certified coaches with the ICF, which is a certification that the ICF gives to coaches who have completed a certain amount of training, have done at least 10 hours of mentoring with a more experienced coach, and have completed 100 hours of working directly with clients. So they also are experienced. And that's the bare minimum to teach in an ICF accredited program. So you're getting mentoring, you're being observed by people who are experienced coaches, and they're helping you become a better coach. And you don't get that with just buying a class off of Udemy. I will say that there are lots of coaches who don't choose to go be certified by ICF, that take an ICF accredited program and then they go out and they coach. And that is perfectly fine. They have learned in their program the core competencies, they've learned the ethical practice standards of the ICF, and maybe they just decide, the ICF's particular style of coaching doesn't fit my practice, it doesn't fit my clients. I don't really feel the need to have that additional certification. And those are perfectly valid reasons that a coach might not be ICF credentialed, but you want to ask about their training. Did they take an ICF accredited training? Because that makes the difference. And so for myself, I am ICF accredited, and that's because I teach coaches. I teach through Starseed Academy Coach Training, which is a school that trains particularly spiritual life coaches. And in order to teach, I had to have an ICF credential. So I did go that path, but not everyone does. The other thing I want to kind of say, I don't want to honk all of the time here, but this part about resonance is really important. And I love what Roz said about get their free stuff, follow them on Instagram, follow them on social media. Coaching is about relationship. And so you want to feel like you know that person. You want to feel like you understand where they're coming from, and that where they're coming from relates directly to the problem that you want them to help you with. So, you wouldn't go to a relationship coach if you had a business problem. So you want to make sure that coach is resonating not only with you personally, but also with the area that you need help with, that they sort of work in and have specialty and have taken their own life journey in the area that you're wanting to work with them in. And I think social media is a really great way to sort of stalk a coach and see what they're all about. And then, as Roz mentioned, a lot of coaches put out freebies. They have email newsletters. You can get some free stuff and then subscribe to their email, see what they're doing. If they have podcasts or they have shows like this, there are lots of ways that you can kind of see what is a coach's personality like. What would they be like to work with? And then if that feels good, you can go to the intro call. But it's important that you sort of feel that there's a procession of comfort with that coach, that you're building a relationship. Coaches that slide into your DMs and you don't know who the hell they are, these aren't people you want to work with, because that kind of sales tactic just doesn't really fit in the coaching industry. And how do you know if you're going to resonate with that person? Even like you're going to decide that in one call when you've never even known who this person was. It just doesn't make good sense. And I know that there's a lot of coaches that do that. And there's a lot of, I get spam all the time from services wanting to do lead generation for me. And I always say no, because my personal brand of how I approach coaching and how I approach my clients is based on my spirituality and my desire to serve my clients, not getting money and getting leads. And I don't know what a lead generation company is going to do out there when they're representing me. So that's kind of off limits for me. And I think that you should seriously question the motives of any client of any coach that just randomly slides into your DMs and offers to coach you, unless you've been following them or interacted with them in some deeper way.
Oh, you said so much,
Yeah.
Julian. Literally.
Yes.
Right off the bat, the ICF certification. I love that you touched on the difference, right? Because like I'm double certified, but I don't have the ICF accreditation, because if people look up where I got trained, there is proof in the pudding. I've done over 200 hours of coaching. She can handle it, right? However, for you, you're training coaches. You do want to have the certification in order to be, working in a school and at that level, right? The thing is, it's a matter of choice. Resonance is part of it for sure. Number two is, can they handle? Are they real coaches? Do they know what they're talking about? Ethics? Do they have a certain parameter of how they serve? One thing that you said that really hit is the coaches that drop in your DMs. We also got to talk about what to avoid, right? Because it's a physical reaction when someone drops in your DMs with a copy paste from something someone else told you a week before, right? And Maria just pointed out something about the money talk. If a coach is leading with money, that's great if you're working on your money, right? But if you're not working on money, that is not something that should call out to you. It's more about what they embody, who they are, where they focus. Like if you're someone that wants to work on boundaries or relationships or business or whatever area that is, you want to find someone who speaks that language, who's excelling in that area, who you see things that you're like, man, I wish I could communicate like that. I love the way they handle themselves in this situation. Like creeping on your coach, I think is a great thing. Get to know them, because that's really how you move into a partnership. You can't get a DM and then be a partner with someone and work for 3 months. I mean, you could, but you're not going to get the transformation you would get from someone you've built a relationship with. And then you can walk that path hand in hand, knowing they've got your back and that they embody who you're trying to become. Because a lot of times we tend to emulate. Make sure it's someone that really does speak your language.
Yeah, and to you all's point, and I think Julian might have mentioned it before, is that when we as trained coaches go through our training, we're not just learning a technique, a process, tools. We are putting ourselves through the process. We are putting ourselves through those tools. Like we got to work through our own stuff. You cannot get out of a coach training program. And I'm mentioning this because it speaks to the validity of a coach, so that you know what to look for. We do not go through a coaching program or get certification or accreditation without having to do our own internal work, because there are a lot of things that come up when you step up in the light and say, I want to be a coach and I want to serve people and I want to help people transform, be empowered, get through challenges and issues. Well, guess what we got to do? We got to walk the path ourselves. And that is why we are pushing right now so hard that you find a coach that at least at the very minimum has had the appropriate amount of hours of training and has gone through an ICF accredited training program. Because you don't want nobody out here who has and I'm not because I do know some coaches who have not gone through any of that stuff, and they are great coaches and they put out like dope content. But at the same time, you want to be careful about that, okay? That's all we're saying. You know the right decision to make it, but these are some things that you need to look out for. The other thing is you mentioned something, Jordy, that kind of made me turn my head a little bit, and it was about some coaches sliding in the DMs, or having or building relationships in the DMs with people, because that's a thing now with sales processes with coaches, is that instead of doing an intro session, they'll knock it out directly with you in a conversation, in a private conversation. Like I'm in one now with a coach. I've not decided to join her program, but I got all the questions right now because I'm just not ready for, a couple reasons. But I still am building a relationship with her because I'm on her lives. I am in her DMs. I'm asking questions. So I
But
think
did you
that
initiate it, Roz?
I did initiate
That's
it.
see, that's I think that's the difference is you initiated that.
I
The
did
coach
initiate it.
just yeah. I
Yeah, I
think
see
that's
your
the big
point.
yeah.
That makes more sense, because if the client is the one reaching out because they're drawn to you, by all means, you can build that relationship, then move it to an intro call if necessary. I think the trigger for me as a coach personally is when the coaches are doing that.
Yeah.
Like the DMs are great to go deeper, but they don't even know you, and you're just dropping in like, "Hey, I can change your life." I'm sure you could, but where's the proof, right? I wasn't drawn to you. You were not my first choice, right? So to Ross's point, a coach can only take you as deep as they've been themselves, right? So you do have to see at some level who they are, and it has to feel right. And in a DM setting, it's almost apprehensive, because it's like if you get stopped at the mall, but like, hey, buy this lotion, when like you weren't even buying that. So it's a matter of perspective. We're just kind of putting a broad picture out there, because ultimately it's your choice to make. If you respond to the DMs, great. For me, that's very off-putting.
I had 3 just this week. I had 3 just this week, and I'm like, and they were very flattering. They were very flattering. I see you've been doing this for a while, and da 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 da, and I really love your content. Very complimentary. And then they hit me with, "Do you need help? Can I send you this?" Like, no, you can stay in hidden requests. That's what you can do, and stop contacting me. Stop bothering me. Like,
Yeah.
and to your point, Julian, yes, I sought them out. I went into her DMs. I am very engaging when I feel drawn to a coach. And I think that you need the audience, you listening, you need to give yourself permission to do the same thing. Like if you are interested in coaching, let yourself go up in there and ask the questions of the coach. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think business coaches are one of the worst for just sort of like popping in your DMs and asking a bunch of personal questions about your business. And I don't know about other people, but I don't respond to being asked personal questions by somebody I don't know or haven't met. So one of the things I think we should sort of talk about is the three of us are all spiritual life coaches. And I think that's a little different than just life coaching. And so maybe it would be helpful to sort of talk about the difference between traditional life coaching and spiritual life coaching. So for me, the big difference is the types of tools that we use. As a spiritual life coach, I'm drawing on my clients' spirituality to connect them to their own inner power and their own inner capabilities. And I'm using spiritual tools like meditation and visualization and affirmations and things of those nature. What about you? What about you, Jordy and Roz? How do you see the difference?
I think for me, I call it a modality, right? Just like I could be using logical steps, like, hey, let's build a blueprint or a map here, or human design, for example. Spirituality is just for people who resonate more with that. And for me, I'm one of those people. So I respond more to visualization, guidance, connecting to self, source, God, spirit, universe, whatever you call it, because it brings an element of safety. Right? It makes it a little bit safer to open up, to go deeper, to not be so afraid, right? Because spirituality for me, it's more internal work. It's more heart-centered work than it is logical. Because a lot of times you try to go to a problem with the mind, and don't get me wrong, we're trained for that too, right? But Spiritual life coaching takes it a little bit deeper. And I feel like the transformation is bigger because people are able to connect on a deeper level than just the mind.
Definitely. I think for me, it's all of that, but okay, so let me explain. So y'all know when I adjust my chair, I'm about to get in there. So for me, it starts with energy. Okay. It starts with energy, and spiritual life coaching for me is working through the energetics of what you're dealing with, how you're feeling, what you're thinking, the beliefs, because that all emits spiritually to God, whoever you call God, the universe, to the quantum field. And if we cannot get, if you don't have the energetics right or correct, putting life coaching tools and aligned action on top of crappy energetics is not going to work. So for me, spiritual life coaching focuses on energy. How you feel in your body? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What is being mirrored back to you? Take notice of what's going on outside of you and what's going on the inside of you. And for me personally, as it relates to my background, spiritual life coaching for me is working with spirit for me to get guidance on how to guide you, for me to get protection on how not to be drawn into your emotions, your reactions, not to be moved if you just blank stare me or resting bitch face me, right? So that I don't take that in and think that I'm doing something wrong. Or for me, it's using all of my senses, my cognizance, my clairvoyance, my audience, all of it, my body, the chills, the chicken skin, everything, the tinkling in my head to kind of help me navigate this process with you and for you. So I use my intuition as like another tool, another coaching tool to help create a safe space for you first and foremost, because that's important to me, and I'm sure I can speak for my peers here. Safety is extremely important in coaching. So I use that to help me like ask the questions, because there are sometimes I'm drawing a blank. I don't know what the hell to ask you, and then I will hear it just drop into my head. So spiritual life coaching is all of the intuition, it's all of the guidance, it's all the energy on top of the practical application that you get from just a general life coaching situation. I hope that helps. That was a lot.
No, but that's super powerful. And you touched on a lot, right? Because there are so many more things in a session of talking to someone that are not heard, that are felt, that are sensed. Like energetically, if someone's telling you, oh, I hate my job, but you can feel a deep sadness underneath that, we tune into the sadness and we're like, okay, let's go there, right? So it kind of guides the coaching to a place of, you're not saying it, but I can feel it. So let me help you process what you're not aware of yet, right? Because it's like mind, body, soul, and energetics. It's not just mental. A lot of times people get stuck in the mental because it's all we're taught, right? So I feel like with spiritual coaching, you almost teach someone how to access the rest, how to connect to your body, how to connect to your soul, how to connect to spirit, source, whatever the word is, right? But it is so much deeper and getting attuned to it all and not just the parts that we were taught.
Yeah, I love that. So for me, it's really about serving the whole client, the physicality, the mental, and the spiritual aspect, because we have to have balance in all of those. And if we're only working with one aspect, we're probably getting out of balance, and we're avoiding problems that are in the other areas. Also, my coaching tends to focus on a more expansive view of life here, and of what we're doing, and how individuals can have an impact on the world, how individuals can experience freedom, how individuals can tap into limitless possibility. And it's just not something that I can easily do with just a traditional talk type life coaching. I need to get them into their energy. I need to get them connected to the idea that they create their reality, that they have infinite power, that limitless possibility can happen. For instance, working with a client over a career or job issues, very traditional life coaching is going to be very it's going to focus on, well, what do you want to do in a job? How do you go find that kind of job? How do you do these things? Whereas I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm going to look more at like, well, what else is possible? What else, if money and job wasn't an issue, or if you could create your job, what would it be? And I take them to look bigger. And so spiritual life coaching for me gives me the tools to take a client into those bigger dreams, and to reach for more than just being satisfied.
That's powerful. I think the mind, unfortunately, the mind is limiting, right? Because you only know what you've lived through. It's kind of like a recording machine. Your mind will always replay the things that it knows that makes it feel safe. I feel like spiritual life coaching, with the tools that we have in place, allows people to go a little bit deeper than the known. And what I mean by that is, if you can create safety within the bubble of you're in control of your own life, and then build on that and give them the skills to be able to do that for themselves, everybody has that intuition. Everybody has that guidance system. Everybody has that connection, right? So it's about learning to build that. Even if you are super logical and left brain, you can still tap into those things. And it's a matter of being exposed to it and having someone hold the space so that you can feel safe while doing it.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank
So
you.
what other kinds of things should people look for in a life coach? So we've talked about training, we've talked about, building that relationship, kind of stalking them, feeling how much you resonate with them. We've talked about what some of the things to avoid, some of the things to watch out for. How else should someone choose a life coach? What are some of the other factors?
I think that okay, money came up earlier in one of
Yeah.
the comments, and I think that you have to look at pricing. You
Hmm.
have to look at the cost of the coaching relative to the transformation that's being offered, right? I know that I mean, like the scale is broad for coaching. Like some coaches charge like $15,000 for a session, not a session, but an engagement with them. And there are coaches that charge a fraction of that, right? So I think that there has to be some checks and balances being done. Like look at that pricing, look at that cost, and look at what you're getting. And once again, go within, tap in, and ask yourself, am I getting not just a good deal, but am I getting the value of this? Am I getting, what I don't want to use the word worth, but am I going to be getting a return on investment for this amount of the investment? Like I think that, having the money conversation, we got to stop avoiding that shit. Like for real.
Yeah.
Like if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. There's some people out here I want to work with today, right now, as soon as I get off of here. But the way my bank account is set up, uh, we ain't gonna be able to do it. We have to wait a little while to get that level of service, that value of service. And it doesn't mean anything about you, client, that if you cannot right now afford to work with a coach, that's why we offer free content. That's why we offer ways. That's why we make things accessible, right? So you have to find something that works not only for you internally, but works for your pockets too. Like
Yeah.
don't pick a coach and not consider the financial implications of it. That matters. That matters. And stop like acting like you don't see that dollar amount too.
Yes.
Ooh, that's steep. But okay, it's steep.
Yeah.
But can you make it work? Or is it a hard no for you? Like that's way too much money for me to spend 3 months. Like I'm not
Yeah.
paying it. Listen, and listen. I am not. I had to move my little crystal seeds out the way. I am not going to ever pay. And I don't care if I become a millionaire. I am not ever going to pay any coach. I don't care who it is. $15,000 for 3 months at a time. I'm not. I don't care how valuable it is. I don't care if they teach me how to turn water to wine. I'm not doing it. That to me, that's ridiculous. And I feel like there's like some kind of a robbery going on with that. So like, look at that. Like, does that make sense? that somebody's charging that much money for that period of time and for what you're getting out of that program?
Yeah, I want to build on what you're saying there, Roz, because I definitely agree money is a big issue. And I think people are afraid to even approach coaches and schedule an intro call or talk to them because a lot of times the prices aren't right there. And so you got to have that intro call, and then you get to the end of the intro call and you have to have that uncomfortable conversation where you say, well, it's too much money. I've had some of those where there were coaches that I thought I wanted to work with and they didn't have the pricing anywhere. And I thought, okay, I know about what coaches cost. So I scheduled an intro call. And at the end of the intro call, the price was more than I could afford. And I had to say, I'm sorry, that's not going to work for me right now. And a lot of coaches, there are some coaches who will try to sort of pressure you to do a payment plan or to stretch to do it. And I just don't feel that that's in the best interest of the client. Remember, the good coaches are focused on the client and is what is right for the client. So if you're working with me, I'm never going to push you to pay more than you can afford. I'm going to tell you what the price is. I'm going to tell you what payment plans I offer. I'm going to tell you that how flexible I can be with working with you on the pricing. And if it's not a match around the money, it's not a match around the money. Now, one of the things I have noticed in my own life in working with coaches is that as I work with coaches and I continue to do my own work and develop my own abilities in the spiritual realm and just really developing my own sense of worth and my own sense of my own value and the skills of what I have to offer, I've up-leveled in my money in a way that, I've bought some more expensive coaches as I kind of did some of that initial work. And so maybe if there's a coach that you really want to work with and you can't afford them right now, maybe you look for the next step, right? What coach is going to be able to help me make the next hop so that I can work with this coach that I want to work with? So that's one way that you can look at it. And I would just say, I think coaches need to be more transparent around their pricing. I think we need to be more upfront on our websites and our different things, what our programs cost, so that people who need our help, who want to work with us, who want to make this growth, aren't left in the dark guessing and having to decide whether they want to do an intro call and then possibly be embarrassed that they can't afford it at the end. And so I personally put my prices on my website. And, Roz gave an example of a $15,000 3-month program. And I would just say that's not typical. I would say, what I want to say to people who are watching it or maybe being a little intimidated and thinking, well, maybe I don't want to work with a coach because it's so expensive. You can work with coaches for anywhere from, a few $100s a month all the way up into thousands of dollars a month. There's a huge range. And so, my programs run anywhere from $700 to $800 a month. So, just to give you an idea of what coaches charge. Yeah. Do you guys want to weigh in with anything on that?
I echo a lot of what you guys are saying, right? The transformation is key. What are you getting in return for what you're investing? Transparency, number 2. If a coach is not disclosing their money, that's kind of raises a question of like, when is the punch coming in, right? You don't want to be surprised. However, there are coaches that I'm willing to save up and invest in, but it does take time to build that. That's the whole point of growing with them, building a relationship, taking access to all of their free stuff. If I'm able to afford it down the road, yes, I will. But I will never, ever, ever, as a coach, put somebody out of a mortgage payment to make a payment to me. And there are people who invest in coaching and they are in debt for months, like with a business coach, $15,000. And then they're in debt and they're like, oh my gosh, I resonate with you, but I'm still paying $10,000, and they lose faith, right? So don't ever put yourself in a situation where you don't have anything because you're giving it to someone who pressured you into making that call, right? There are ways to get coaching or support for a lot cheaper. Coaches do sliding scales. Some coaches are just starting off. There are coaches in training that would be willing to not barter, but to do like a low cost offer. Deeper than that, YouTube, TikTok, go watch some videos of a coach that you respect on a topic that you want to learn about and try to do some of it on your own. There are books, there are things you can do. So It doesn't have to be coaching. It definitely helps you get there a lot faster, but it's a matter of how much can you really afford without taking away from you and your family, right? And finding the coach that fits that right now. Now, as you grow and evolve, maybe you can afford a little bit more.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, for me, it's been a constant evolution, because I think that as coaches, we have to get the pricing right. Not just so we can get a million people into our programs, but so that we can make the support and help accessible to people. Make it easier for people to get the help and the support that they need. And so from again, for me, it's been a constant evolution of getting the price that feels good, like finding the happy medium. No pun intended. Finding the happy medium that would work for my audience, the people that I am, trying to call in, and the people that I want to work with, and also that satisfies my own personal basic needs. Because let's be real, like we ain't out here just, like we got bills. We just like y'all. We got bills and stuff to pay too. Like don't be fooled. Ain't nobody out here living like the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. At least not yet. But I'm not gonna beat anybody or crack anybody over the head just to have a particular lifestyle, because we are service first. And I heard Julian, you mentioned the range of pricing for your programs, and mine is about the same, and it's changing, and it's gonna keep changing because I want to find the right fit that works for me and my clients, me and the people that I want to work with, or me and the people that want to work with me. So yeah, do again, do your research. Ask.
Yeah.
Like we are more willing to, you know, work with you than say, well, if you ain't got it, holler at me later. No, that's not what what we're doing. Because we wouldn't want to be treated like that either. I've in some of the conversations that I've had with other coaches, she's given me the pricing and said, can you make that work? And if not, here are the other options that I have. And there was no shame behind it. You should never walk away from a conversation around investment in a coaching situation feeling shamed, or feeling like a coach shamed you because, well, if you can't afford it, then the price is the price. Like that's you should
Yeah.
look out for that, because you don't want to walk away from that. But and if you still do, check in with yourself, and maybe you got some money work to do. Maybe that's a coach that you need to look for.
Yeah. Absolutely. I also want to Roz made a really good point there that coaches that she's talked to that she couldn't afford offered her other things. And a lot of coaches have other programs. So if you're in a situation where you need some help with something and you can't afford a private coach, a lot of coaches also do group programs. And a group program is, you'll get some learning content, you'll get some support from the coach, and then usually there's group calls with hot seat coaching and an opportunity to share and ask questions, and so you get some support from the coach, but it's not a one-on-one type of container. And those are all really valid options if you have something that you want to work on it, but you can't afford to work with a coach one-on-one with it. So there are group options out there that you can consider as well. So the other thing I want to kind of, as we're reaching the end of the time, I kind of want to round robin on here is coaching worth it? I think probably a lot of people watching are asking, do I need a coach? And is coaching worth it? Why should I hire a coach? So who wants to lead off with that?
Oh, I'm happy to. No, honestly, and I'll speak from my experience because I can't speak for anyone else, right? In my life, coaching was transformational, so much so that I became a coach, right? Because I believe in it so much and I saw the power behind it. It really does help you get there quicker. It gives you the tools and the self-awareness to check yourself, invest in yourself, continue to grow, focus on you. So from my perspective, I believe in coaching so much that I keep a coach at all times. I don't ever operate without one, not because I need permission or guidance, but sometimes as a coach, I get triggered. Sometimes things come up and I have to work through them as I go. And with my client's best interest at heart, I can only take them as deep as I've been myself. So we're always growing and evolving. And I believe the investment is totally worth it. You just have to find the right person. And like Julian said, might not be one-on-one, could be a group setting, but definitely worth it, because it could cut the time in half. Instead of it taking you years, it could take you months and you could be there a lot sooner.
I definitely believe in coaching and that is worth it. I mean, I don't think any of us would have become coaches if we first didn't like experience coaching in some form. Um yes, it's definitely worth it. Um and if you don't think it is, then that's fine too, but I found it to be worth it. And let me say this also is that you can find coaching worth it and not be working with you don't always have to be working with a coach. Like Jordy's working with a coach right now. I'm not working with a coach right now. And that well, not officially. And that doesn't mean that I'll never work with the coach, but it came to the point for me where okay, I've learned enough, I've evolved enough, I've worked through enough, I've peeled off some layers enough that I want to go fly and put this into my reality and practice this on my own. And when I'm ready for another, and when I'm ready to start back with my coach, she's there. She knows that we have this. She ain't just gonna let me go out here. But you don't always need to be working with the coach like you are do with the therapist. But you can like take a step back from coaching to let it breathe, to
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what Roz is saying is really important, that there is like an integration thing. But something that Roz said on her social media, I think it was last week, was about peeling back layers. There's always more growth to do. And as spiritual beings, as human beings, we're always learning, we're always growing. And coaches can really I think coaching is absolutely worth it. I've had multiple coaches with myself. I'm not currently working with one. I'm doing a lot of integration. I've currently been sort of retooling my business a little bit to better meet the needs of my clients. And so I'm kind of taking a breather as well, because there needs to be some integration space. You don't want to just kind of keep working with a series of coaches because you're not having the time to integrate everything that you've done, all of the work you've done with your coach. Um, so for me, I think it's definitely worth it, because I definitely think that people often suffer in silence. They have something that's really frustrating them or creating a lot of friction in their life, or they have blocks that are preventing them from moving forward. For me, I used to be really blocked by perfectionism. I would wanted things to be so perfect that I just never did them. And working with a coach really helped me move through that block so that I could actually start to do more things that I now really enjoy doing. And so a coach can really accelerate how quickly you can move through some of those blocks, how quickly you can change some of those things. And I think Roz's point about giving some breathing room to sort of integrate all of the work that you've done is really crucial as well. So we're almost to the hour, so let's start wrapping up. Any closing points?
No, I mean, I think we covered quite a bit. The biggest thing is I do echo what you guys are saying. There's a season for everything, whether or not that season is with a coach or without. You guys, the investment is worth it if you find the right person and it's the right time for you. So it's okay to just ask questions. And when you're ready, you will know.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Roz, how can people who are interested work with you? What do you have going on right now?
So if you're interested in coaching with me, I have my empowerment private coaching program. Right now I'm changing some things around with that. The price ranges for that go from a single session of 250 all the way up to a 6-month engagement, which is about 5,000 full payment. I do offer payment plans because I need payment plans. As a client, I need payment plans. So reach out to me at hello@rozkincaid.com with questions, or you can find me on social media at Soul Healing with Roz.
Awesome. So I also do private coaching. I work with spiritually minded professionals who want to step into a life of limitless possibility, freedom, and impact. And I also support spiritual business owners who are struggling in their business as well. You can reach me on my website and my socials: LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. I'm pretty much on all of them as Priest of Inanna. And the other thing I want to kind of mention as well is I do a lot with human design. And if human design is something that interests you and you want to learn to help other people with human design, whether it's through reading charts or through coaching with human design or incorporating human design into other services, I do offer a 10-week human design consultant training I do this in partnership with Starseed Academy Coach Training. So you can go to starseedacademycoachtraining.com, and there's currently a wait list. The price is going up, but you will get the old price, which is $300 off if you join the wait list. So we'll be offering that sometime in the fall of this year.
Beautiful. On my end, I work with soulpreneurs, especially women who are ready for that next level. I do use human design, and I do have spots in my one-on-one coaching as well. I only have one more spot left for this month. I have a group course called How to Align Your Business with Human Design. And other than that, just human design readings that I offer on my website. So you can find me at journeythroughthedarkness.com, THRU, Journey Through the Darkness.
Awesome. Okay. Roz, were you introducing next week's topic?
I am. So next week's topic, which is August 26th, I believe, we are going to be talking about what to do when your manifestations don't work. We are always manifesting. Timing, not time, is involved with that. And there are times when manifestations seem slow or don't come at all. And we want to have a conversation to kind of help you and guide you through that if your manifestation is not coming through the way you thought it would. So tune in August 26th, I believe. Is that, do I have the dates right, y'all? I believe it's August 26th.
Yeah, you got it.
August 26th, 12 p.m. right here. What happens when what do you do when manifestations don't work?
Awesome. Yeah. So tune in live for that. And I believe, Roz, you'll be giving something away for that one.
I sure will.
Yeah. Great. So this leads us to the giveaway. So I'm gonna draw our winner. Let me share this. Everyone see that?
We do not.
I don't see anything.
Not. Oh, I see it now.
Okay. You see it.
Okay, I got it now. All right. And
here we go.
And our winner is Laura Christina Delgado, who came through us on LinkedIn. So
congratulations.
Yeah. So Laura, reach out to me by email. I'm going to put my email address up here. It's hello@priestofbanana, or obviously you were watching on LinkedIn, so you can also message me on LinkedIn and let me know your address where you'd like your book sent, and we'll get that book sent out to you. All right.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
All right, guys. Well, thank you all for tuning in live and joining us while we talk about how to choose a life coach. And we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks on Friday, noon Eastern, same place, same time.
Hey, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
This has been the Soul Expansion Soundboard. Join us live every other Friday.